Hello, my name is Chris, and today I would like to tell you how I learned to love myself. I would like to talk to you about self-worth, about self-esteem, about self-love and self-compassion. But I would also like to talk to you about self-sabotage and self-destruction, and how when I talk about loving myself, it isn't just some nice, fluffy, sentimental thing. It isn't just about, wouldn't it be wonderful if we all loved ourselves and there'd be sunshine and rainbows and unicorns? Well, yeah, it kind of would be lovely, but that's besides the point. This isn't just some grand, fluffy concept. It is absolutely essential. I have found in my experience that the level of love and compassion and kindness I have towards myself directly and profoundly impacts not only my mental and emotional well-being, but my very physical well-being as well. So this isn't just some nice airy thing, it is a vital part of my development, my growth, my journey, and my very existence as a human being. Now, sometimes I talk to people about, it's very important that we love ourselves, and they seem to mistake love for adoration, for admiration, for worship. You see, loving themselves as a very egotistical or narcissistic thing to do. As if it's all about standing in front of the mirror and going, I'm so sexy, look at me, I am flawless, I am fabulous, I am the greatest thing since sliced bread. Oh yeah. It isn't really about that at all. But I'm not saying that in and of itself that is a terrible thing. Giving yourself a pep talk in front of the mirror before you go out helps you face the world with a little bit of confidence. By all means, go for it. Did that yesterday. I had to go out. I had a busy day. Before I left the house, I checked myself over and went, yeah, do you know what? I'm looking good today. At least as good as I can look. Other people might look at me and they don't think, that I look anything special, but I know for me that I have done the best that I can with what I've got. Because I know that I'm doing my best, I'm presenting the best version of me to the world, I can go out and face that world with a little bit of confidence. But that, as I say, isn't what all of this is about. Self-love is not about having blind hero worship for ourselves. For me, it's not about ignoring the less than favourable parts of me. It certainly isn't about kicking my arse over those less than favourable parts of me. It's not about going, Chris, you're fat and stupid and blah blah blah, and beating myself up and feeling worse. But it's not about ignoring those and pretending that the things that I don't like about myself, pretending that they don't exist. It isn't about looking at myself through rose-coloured glasses. It is about accepting that yes, there are parts of me that I like and that I think are good. And there are parts of me that I think are less good and I don't like so much. But accepting them equally as two parts of a greater whole of the total of all of this, the total package that is Chris. And it's about accepting that the whole, the total that is Chris, is worthy of being loved, is worthy of having good things, is worthy of compassion, is worthy of being treated with the same loving kindness that I would extend to other people. I hear this all the time. I care so much about other people. I have so much compassion for other people. And yet when it comes to myself, I struggle to turn that same compassion inwards and to treat myself kindly as I would treat somebody else. That sounds familiar to you, don't worry, I've been there. But I have also found in my experience that if I don't learn to love myself at some level, then this leads to self-sabotaging behavior and outright self-destruction. If this is the first time you have stumbled onto one of my videos, then I probably should explain that most of the time I tend to talk about the process of quitting smoking and all the good and bad things that go along with it. So let's use quitting smoking as an example. When I decided that I wanted to quit smoking years ago, I wanted to quit smoking because I wanted to be healthy, to be happy, and to have freedom. But unbeknownst to me, at some level, I didn't believe myself to be worthy of having happiness, health, and freedom. I didn't love myself enough to realize that I was worthy of having those things. So at some subconscious level, every time I tried to quit smoking to gain health and happiness and freedom, there'd be a part of me that goes, well, you don't deserve this, so I'm going to make a right cock up, and then you fail at quitting smoking. And then you can't have these things because you don't deserve them. So I'd be faced, with a stressful situation and go, well, okay, this is a stressful situation, so now I have no choice but to smoke. So then I'd smoke and then I'd relapse and have to start the whole thing over again. Even though I always had that choice to smoke or not to smoke, that little self-sabotaging voice in my head didn't really want me to have the health and freedom because I didn't deserve it. So it would go, you have no choice, you might as well smoke and make a mess of this. It's only when I've learned to realise, actually, I am worthy. I am worthy. And if you're watching this, you are worthy. And you are worthy. And you, even you are worthy. Right? So when I came to realise that, then I could successfully quit smoking because I'm like, yes, I deserve this. A little more recently, because this is a big learning process for me, I was in this relationship and it was like the greatest thing that had ever happened to me. We were going to get married and have babies and live happily ever after, and all kinds of wonderful things were going to happen. I met this woman who loved me more than I loved myself, and this was a problem. Because at some level I didn't feel as though I was worthy of love. I didn't feel as though I was worthy of being loved in the way this other person loved me. I don't deserve this. I'm Chris, I'm crap, and I don't deserve this love. So at some subconscious level, I started to sabotage that relationship. Oh no! Maybe one day I'll talk more about this in a whole video about relationships, but for now I'm like, oh no, I sabotaged this relationship all because I didn't feel worthy of love. Then this leads to a self-fulfilling prophecy, where because I don't feel worthy of love, I sabotage the relationship ends, and I go, well, this relationship ending is proof that I'm not worthy of being loved. It's proof that I can't be loved. Even though, I did this to myself. And then I go, well, this relationship ending is proof that I can't be loved, so what is the point anyway? I might as well just eat all the food in the world and stop exercising and stop treating myself with love and kindness, because I've now got, overwhelming evidence that I don't deserve anything good to happen to me. Likewise, if I'm quitting smoking and I don't feel as though I'm worthy of having that happiness and freedom, then I'm going to sabotage my efforts to get it, and then I'm going to say, well, see, this is proof that I am not capable of quitting smoking. This is proof that I'm not good enough, that I don't have what it takes. Therefore, there is something wrong with me. I'm bad, I'm weak, I'm stupid, whatever it may be. Therefore, what is the point in even trying? There is always a point, because you and we are worthy. So it's only once I realise that I am worthy and I am deserving of love and I am deserving of having good things in my life, it's only when that happens that I can start to bring those things in. If I go around having no love for myself, then I'm never going to let anybody else love me either, because I don't feel as though I'm worthy of it. Whereas if I learn to love all the good and bad parts and accept the whole total that is Chris, then I can go out into the world and eventually I'm going to find somebody who loves me for me. And when I find that person, I'm not going to sabotage that relationship, because I accept that I am worthy of it. That I realised that I titled this video, How I Learned to Love Myself. So I've talked about why it's so important, but how the heck did I do it? How did I go from my name's Chris and I'm the biggest piece of shit on the planet to my name's Chris and I am worthy of love and acceptance? It started with realizing that a lot of the things I tell myself about me aren't really my thoughts or opinions about me. They come from other people. They are conditions of worth and introjective values that I have taken on from other people. I don't really think this way about myself. It's just that somebody else told me that this is how I am, and I went, well, okay, then that must be true. Even though it isn't. Think about it. We weren't born with any kind of self-loathing. We weren't born feeling unworthy. We weren't born feeling that we didn't deserve love. When I was a little kid, I was way too busy watching Teenage Mutant Turtles and playing with my toys to even care whether I was worthy of love. It just wasn't a thing, right? But then people started to tell me certain things about myself that came from their frame of reference and not mine. Chris, drawing on the walls is bad, therefore you are a bad child for drawing on the walls. Well, excuse me, but I'm only 4. I've only had 4 years of life, that's 3. I've only had 4 years of life experience, and in those 4 years, nobody has told me not to draw on the walls. So I'm just being creative, and I see a great canvas. I'm going to draw all over that thing. It doesn't make me a bad person. You go to school, there are kids, and they're mean, they pick on me, and they bully me. I take on, well, everything these children say must be true about me, even though they only see me for like 5 or 6 hours a day. They only see one small part of me, but well, they say must be true, so I'll take on all these things, that I'm ugly and smelly and horrible and not worthy of having friends. Then I go home, and a family man, I do something, that again, because I have very limited life experience, I haven't figured a lot of things out. So when I go home and I do something that isn't quite right, somebody else is in their own frame of mind. Maybe they've had a crappy day and they lash out and go, "You're stupid." And that imprints on me as a young child. So now I've taken on this value that I am stupid. Got older, I learned to realize these are other people's opinions and other people's thoughts, and they come from them and where they were at in their lives at that time. They have nothing to do with me. And most of them aren't even true anyway. I have spent my entire life, every single day of my life, I have spent 24 hours a day with me. So I know myself better than, even my parents, even my best friends. I know myself better than anyone. And in those 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, I have gathered sufficient evidence to contradict every negative thing anybody has ever said about me. "Chris, you're stupid." Yeah, well, that's not true, because if I look, I can find evidence where actually I was really smart. "Chris, you're ugly." Well, that's not true, because if I look, I can find evidence of other human beings saying, "Chris, I am very attracted to you." Not many, but enough to prove that is wrong. "Chris, you are this." Well, here's evidence to prove that I'm not that. Did this exercise. It was quite a painful process, but I did it anyway. Where I got my journal out and I wrote down every negative thing that I could ever remember anybody saying about me. And I went through and I went for all of these things. There is evidence to the contrary, right? So it is not true. Other people's opinions about me are not true. Now, it's not the case that I did this exercise and then closed my journal and there was a bright light and it was like, hallelujah, I am free. Never have to worry about all that crap ever again. But it was a turning point for me. It was the start of a process where I could start to view myself differently. Actually, I am smart and capable and attractive and whatever else it may be. I do have more good qualities than other people have told me that I do. So I can start to let go of other people's opinions because they have nothing to do with me. Once I learned to let go of this self-concept that was made up of other people's ideas, I could start to learn who I really am. Once I learned to let go of who people told me I am, I could figure out who I really am. And realize that actually who I really am has lots of good qualities. But again, I am not flawless, and for all the good things that I genuinely like and love about myself today, there are still things that I'm not that happy with. I can look at myself and go, do you know what, I might be creative and kind and compassionate, but I'm also overweight and prone to catastrophizing, and I dislike these things about myself. And I could write down a list of anything. It could be, well, I'm prone to anger and I don't like that. I don't like my appearance. I don't like this. I don't like that. And then take all these things, and it can be easy to go, well, this is proof that I don't deserve to be loved or don't deserve to have nice things happen to me. Which isn't the case. All of these things that I dislike about myself are not permanently fixed parts of my identity. having a few extra pounds on my belly does not make me who I am. Being prone to occasionally catastrophizing does not make me who I am. These things that I dislike about myself are reflections or reactions to other things that have happened on my journey through life. The fact that I might not be at my ideal weight is a reflection on a time that I am no longer in, when I lacked love and compassion and wasn't able to treat my body with the kindness it deserved. If I'm prone to catastrophizing, that is a result of some trauma in my past that taught me that this was a decent coping mechanism, even though I now know that it isn't. So they're just, these are not permanently fixed states of who I am. They're just temporary things that I've gathered as I've gone along my journey. And just as I've gathered them, I can also get rid of them, because I am capable of change. And again, there is overwhelming evidence that I can change. I am not a fixed, permanent state. I have constantly evolved. Over my time on earth, I have constantly changed and evolved. Even if I don't feel like I have, if I go back through my story, I can pinpoint some part in my life where I have changed. And if I have changed once, then I can change again. So the things that I don't like about myself are not reasons or excuses not to love myself. They're just temporary parts of me that I can accept as being a consequence of my journey, and I can also let go of them and change them. I can lose weight. I can learn different behaviours. Because again, if I look, and sometimes I might have to look hard and I might have to look close, I can find evidence to prove that yes, I am capable of change. And I let go of identifying myself with temporary, these temporary parts of myself. Where I used to say, I am depressed. I am not depressed, I am Chris. It just so happens that sometimes I go through periods of depression. I am fat. I'm not fat, I am Chris. And Chris is capable of being at his ideal weight. I am bad. I'm not bad, I am Chris. And Chris is capable of doing good things. Yes, Chris might do some stupid things sometimes, but that doesn't define who I am. I am not any of the things that I tell myself I am. I am Chris, and Chris is a constantly growing, constantly evolving, constantly changing entity who is capable of being loved. The last big thing that I needed to change in order to accept myself, because that's what this comes down to really, it's about accepting myself, is that I had to learn to stop setting standards for myself that were way higher than I would set for anybody else. Like, I would not expect anybody else, especially not people that I love and care about, to have to meet the kind of standards that I set for myself. Is a good example of this, and this only happened very recently, proving that I still have a long way to go with this. I've mentioned only a million times in the past that I enjoy running. So, done races and things, and I told myself that next year I'm not going to run a marathon because I have my college course and my hypnotherapy training and my job and my YouTube channel and all this stuff to do. And you know, marathon training is quite intensive. I just don't have the time to do it. Anyway, I find that there's a running event going on in Liverpool, which is where I spend a lot of my time, and they have a couple of smaller races on one day, and then the next day there is a half marathon and a full 26.2 mile marathon. Now, my first thought is, well, I've told myself I'm not doing the marathon, but I can do a half marathon, so I'll just sign up for that. But then this voice in my head that is stupidly harsh towards me, harsher towards me than I would be to anybody else, says, yeah, but a half marathon's not as good as a marathon, is it? You somehow, you're chickening out, you're less, you're not good enough if you only do the half marathon. Excuse me, but a half marathon is still 13 point something miles. It's still an effort, right? And I wouldn't dream of saying that to a friend or a family member or to you if you told me, you know what, Chris, I'm going to run a half marathon. Would I say, only a half marathon? Why aren't you doing a full one, you wimp? I wouldn't dream of doing that, and yet I do it to myself all the time. So I have to learn that if I want to be treated with kindness, I have to lead by example. I have to treat myself with the kind of kindness and the kind of compassion that I would want other people to treat me with. If I went to my friend and said, I'm just thinking of not doing the marathon but only doing the half marathon, they wouldn't say to me, really? God, you're crap. You can't even do a marathon. They say, do you know what? Yeah, half marathon, it's a good effort. Go forth and do it. And that's just one example of the kind of like, I set these impossibly high standards for myself that I wouldn't dream of setting for anybody else, or that I wouldn't accept if somebody else tried to put these standards on me, right? And set these barriers or these goals. It's like, do you know what? Yeah, man, just do a half marathon. It's more than enough. If I want to do a 10k or a 5k, it's still more than enough. I am enough. I am more than enough. I am capable of being loved. And so are you, by the way. Hope you found this video helpful in some way. Please do let me know down in the comments below how you are getting on your journey. As I've said a lot recently, if I don't reply to you, I am not ignoring you. Just as this channel starts to grow, I get so overwhelmed with all your messages, but I do read everything, and I do genuinely appreciate all your love and kindness and support. I'm hoping next week to have a proper announcement on the print version of Quit Smoking and Be Happy. In the meantime, if you would like to download the ebook version of Quit Smoking and Be Happy to your Kindle or to your Android device, you can go to chrisscoyles.com/book, and all the relevant links are there. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you again for your support. I will see you next week. Goodbye.